I think as a whole, Christians miss the mark on this. They don't really understand what it's about and what it's like.
There's something special about hearing somebody say, "Oh yeah, I went through that."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, praise God, I'm not alone.
Christians are always awesome at understanding blended families. 3, 2, 1.
I almost wish we had a strongly disagree, because I think as a whole, Christians miss the mark on this. They don't really understand what it's about and what it's like.
I think a lot of times that they don't know how to deal with it, so they just try to not deal with it.
Right.
They just push it to the side.
Yep.
There's a stigma in a failure of past that comes with it, and one of the closest relationships that God has created on this earth, and you've failed at it once.
The statistics are not in your favor. And so even though we're believers that, God can rise us above statistics, that's still something that we face quite a bit.
There's something special about hearing somebody say, "Oh yeah, I went through that."
Yes.
And it's like, oh, praise God, I'm not alone.
Sometimes we feel alone, like we're the only family like ours. 3, 2, 1.
I guess that's a feeling statement, so. I think the statement that's been spoken a lot in our house, and I can just hear you saying it, is we can't be the only people dealing with this. Like, we can't be. And like, you're right, there's no way. We got to find those people.
Well, and I think with us, we just used it as our platform, and we've opened up our story. Our life group is a small group of couples in our church that we meet together at our house, and they are couples that are all blended, just like us.
We call them our village. Those are our people when, and almost every couple that has been a part of it in different ways. We've had court, cases that have been incredibly difficult on families, and just family transitions as far as what worked a few years ago when the kids were this age, and now you're in a new season and picking the brains of other people that have been through it. We would not be the marriage or the family that we are today without our people.
There have been times that blending a family has been so difficult I felt like giving up. 3, 2, 1.
When we were first married, if we'd argue, Addison, my 8-year-old, she'd say, "So when you and Mitchell get a divorce," and that was the way she framed everything, "when you guys get a divorce," and I kept telling her, "Honey, we're not getting a divorce. We're okay." And now, if we're kind of bickering back and forth, she's like, "Oh, Mom, you guys are gonna be fine in a minute." And so now she sees, because she's seen us work the whole process through every time. And so she knows that we're gonna work it out, and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. In our situation, being blended differently, where he's never been married and I had, was just, like, I've been down this road before, buddy, and having to not take that out on him was a big feat that I had to overcome, so.
And I think there's a lot of families that live in that say, "I survived it the first time, I can certainly make it through it again." I have wanted to quit, I have wanted to say, I've been through divorce once, I can do it again. But sticking with it, sticking with my wife, and loving on all 5 of our kids has been the greatest joy.
And I think that is the reward in it, is the last 5 years, all of the kids have been able to see that overcoming spirit, and they know without a shadow of a doubt who God is.
All of our children's bio parents are still very involved in our family. 3, 2, 1.
We're really split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Seems like there's no middle ground.
Nope.
My daughter, her biological father is not in her life at all and hasn't been for a very long time for
12 years.
Yeah, unexplainable circumstances at this time. But I wish she had a house to go to every other day or every other weekend or just some kind of connection, but it's not there.
We had kind of a unique situation where all parents have been involved the whole time, but teenagers are difficult. And so there was a period where one of our kiddos, while he was with us full time during that amount of time, or that season, we got to be the ones, and it was an honor, but to love him through the hurt and love him through the pain and encourage the healing and pray for the healing, which is incredibly difficult because even as a step, I love him as my own. So
We've been so fortunate that everybody's just there to love the kids. I tell my kids that we have a family forest, not a family tree. I mean, we have ex-in-laws, and even his ex-wife's family will come to games and give me a hug. How are you? How's life going? My ex-husband's family, and he will sit down and visit. And our kids know that, you know, if they have a game, you have an entire stadium full of grandparents and aunts and uncles and parents and step-parents, and whichever way you can.
This is your cheering
whichever
section.
way you can like that, they have it. And we recognize that that's rare.
Yeah.
Super rare, and we are so thankful.
As soon as you remarry, it's easy to treat your new spouse's children like they're your own. 3, 2, 1.
come on over.
That's a tough question.
Well, for me, this is what I'd say. Me, just myself, the answer is yes. But because there's other personalities involved, what's making me want to go over there, because I know that's reality. Yeah. I just think, I'm going to go for it. I'm probably going to screw it up again, but I'm going to go for it.
Well, and I can say from my side of it, my first marriage was a blended family. I had never been married before, but my ex-husband had, and had 2 children from that previous marriage. And so I was bonded with them, and then there was that tearing away. And whenever your stepkids go away, you don't get to see them every other weekend. And so it's hard to make that relationship with new kids.
I feel like I jumped all in from the very beginning because I didn't have babies yet of my own. And so I didn't have any problem viewing them as my own, none. If I were to look back, that might have been a mistake or a learning curve for me because there were probably times I overstepped, not meaning to. And my intention was just to love these babies as my own.
This was an area that I had a lot of guilt about. So before we got married, coming into, I was like, I'm gonna love everybody the same. Everything's gonna be, I'm not gonna be able to tell the difference between him, and her. Like, it's all gonna be the same. And then once we got married, it was like, I don't feel this way. But I had somebody that I was close with that had dealt with the same thing, and he said, it's just a part of it. It's normal. It's okay. And it comes in the big things and it comes in the small situations. Her son will say something and she's just melting. and I'm like, yeah, that was kind of cute. And then my son will say the exact same thing and I'm melting. And she's like, yeah, that's kind of cute. And it's just a part of it.
Because of what I've been through, I have lots of hope for blended families. 3, 2, 1.
So what's your somewhat about?
I have hope for blended families that have Christ at the center.
That's it.
Based on what we've been through, I don't have hope for those people that don't have Christ at the center. There are so many things in play and so many pitfalls to fall into. It is such a difficult endeavor. I guess I'm conditional in where I'm at.
I would agree with everything you just said. I have lots
agree.
of hope, especially with Jesus. But if you ask me personally if I would do this again, not my particular
We've
wife.
had this
and
conversation.
But I would
We
not
would not
do
do this
blended
again.
family.
Yeah.
I would not personally do blended family stuff.
Yeah.
Not because I don't have hope. It's just, there's marriage work. and there's blended family work, and it's
Blended
a
family marriage
whole
work.
nother level of it. And I'm like, man, sweet Jesus, thank you for what I got to go through, but I'm good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think, especially this morning, the two things that have just resonated so much with all of us is, first and foremost, our relationship with Christ, and Christ being in the center of our marriage. And secondly, having people around us is so crucially important. And there is hope if you have those two things.
Come on, that's good stuff. There we go.
We did it.
High fives all the way around.
We've been together for almost 15 years.
Almost 15. Yep.
And it's just been a wild journey. Changed a lot over the last 10, 15 years.
I always say it was my package deal. So he came with 2, and then we added our 3 to the bunch along the way. We had a really interesting dynamic coming into this because both of our parents are still together. And so we had tremendous support from family and friends and loved ones in that time of our life, but we didn't have anyone that understood, and we didn't have anyone that could pour into us with wisdom that came from experience. And so our life group, even though we were all learning it together, we prayed for each other, we encouraged each other. Literally text messages would go back and forth sitting outside of a courthouse or a courtroom or a custody evaluator's office. Every single couple in our life group has either been through something traumatic or just something that weighed so heavy that they weren't sure how they were going to move on. And it tested their faith and it tested their family. I mean, you could ask any one of them. And,
We did. So we kind of thought that might be the case.
I mean, okay.
We asked your life group if they would write a few things down. And if you would, we would love for you to just read those notes to each other. So if you want to take 2 each, feel free to catch your breath.
I'm going to need some tissue. Thank you. I'm not at all surprised.
Daniel and Amanda, thank you for your courage and obedience to host a blended family life group. Can you believe it's been 4 years already? No, I cannot.
No, I cannot either.
Because of your yes to Jesus and this group, so many families have been impacted for the better, including ours.
You guys were there for Alan and I during the most difficult times of our lives when we lost Trevor. And we are so grateful for our friendship.
Thank you for walking with us in all the trials and raising 7 kids in a blended family.
Without Amanda and Daniel sharing the blended road they've traveled with us, showing us the way through a biblical lens and platform by never shying away from the hard discussions of trials and tribulations, all the while allowing us the space to share our doubts and questions, I just don't know where we would be.
Thank you for your encouragement, prayers, tears, hugs, laughs, and our friendship over the years.
Amanda and Daniel, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you've done for our family and the many, many other lives you've touched. You are the salt of the earth, my friends.
It's just amazing to reflect back on the lives that have been touched, not only our lives, but their lives. I just can't emphasize enough how much we couldn't do it without the life group.
And we can't pour into others without people pouring into us. Yep. And that's exactly what they do. They have our back always.
Yep. No matter what, they have our back.
Yep.